All right, hello and welcome to Alpha Kappa Psi's webinar, How to Engage Your Chapter Over the Summer. I'm Mackenzie Lalka and I serve AK Psi as the Associate Director of Education. I'll be moderating the webcast today. Before we dive into the content, just a few housekeeping details. We are going to ask all participants to keep themselves muted during the presentation so we can hear the speaker. But if you'd like to turn your video camera on, you can choose to do so. We do have the chat feature available for you so you can interact with other attendees and the presenter. It is going to share your name, but consider also mentioning your chapter or your university as well. After the presentation, we're going to have a brief Q&A, and at that point, you can either submit your questions via the chat feature, or at that point, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question, you could do so verbally. So for our program today, we do have Heather Robinette, and I will go ahead and just hand it over to Heather to take it over.
Awesome. Thank you, Mackenzie. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for How to Engage Your Chapter Over the Summer. My name is Heather Robinette, and I am the Fraternity Manager of Strategic Communication and Engagement. I am from the Alpha Omega chapter at Kansas State University, and professionally, I'm a marketing manager for a tech startup in Dallas, Texas. So over the last few months, we've been working on creating ideas to help chapters stay engaged during the semester as things shifted online. Now with the summer coming up, we wanted to share those ideas and help your chapter stay engaged and be ready to come back in the fall. We're going to be talking through some different virtual activity ideas, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions. So to get us started, our first one is virtual workouts. This is definitely one of my favorites. So you're able to create a workout just by spelling something. So we give you this kind of template as far as how to put a workout together, and you can use your chapter name, other chapters in the region, the Brooklyn 4, you can get creative with it. The cool part is you can even just spell each other's names. But the idea is just to get a group of brothers together and do a workout together on Zoom or whatever platform you're using. It's a lot of fun, and it gives you something else to do other than just sitting around and hanging out. You're able to get up and move around. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a nice change of pace. Next are virtual hangouts. So these are just organized groups. So they can be your families that get together, pledge classes, big little groups, even random groups. So the Omega Alpha chapter had actually used their families to get together. So they were able to break out by groups of their family and just hang out with each other. You can also offer up different activities the groups can do, such as the workout that we mentioned, game nights, creating a chapter playlist, or just hanging out and talking. This is a great way to really foster that brotherhood and either connect with new people or get to know people you haven't really met before. So it's a lot of fun and can offer some really cool times for your chapter. Next, as we kind of mentioned, the virtual game night. So this can be, some of the different ones we have mentioned here. Scribble, Quiz Up, Jackbox games. There's of course a ton of them out there right now. I'm sure if you just Google, virtual games, you'll be able to find plenty of them. Jackbox games is actually one I've personally played. So it's a little different. You actually buy a pack of games. So it comes in 5 to 6 games. They're all relatively short, can be played in 15 to 20 minutes. Most of them I have played have been a group of roughly 8 people, but they're a lot of fun. It's really entertaining. The games aren't hard. They're actually interesting, some of them, so they kind of test you in some different ways, but they're a lot of fun and definitely worth checking out. Meet and greets. So this can be done in a couple different ways. So this can be done with alumni, or you can use it as a virtual recruitment opportunity. So for the alumni event, this can be done by creating a short presentation that puts together the information from current brothers and alumni who are attending the event. You're able to give everyone the opportunity to share more information about themselves. From there, you're able to then break everyone out into different groups and just kind of mingle, just as you would with an in-person event. And this was done by the Gamma Epsilon chapter. They had a lot of success, and the event went really well for them. On the recruitment side, the Rho, Gamma, Omega, and Eta Phi chapters all were able to successfully hold this type of recruitment event, and it went really well. They basically had 2 brothers in each room, and then the potential new members would then move between the rooms. It gave them a chance to get to know the brothers, get to know the chapter, just as they would with an in-person event. Next, we have the chapter outreach tree. So this is kind of a cool way for your chapter to stay engaged. You're able to make sure everyone is a part of this, this type of activity. So we provide a randomizer in Excel. Basically, you have your chapter, everyone in your chapter listed in there, and you're able to randomize it. So basically, you would then just run the script, and it would then put your new list into random in a random assortment, and then you're able to add that to the outreach tree. It's a PDF you're able to fill in and then share that with everyone. So with each person, once it gets kicked off, basically everyone would then reach out to 2 people. This will continue for about a 2-week process, and as soon as you're done at the end of the 2 weeks, you're able to then start back over and can continue on with it. The cool part is it's a way for brothers to either connect with someone they haven't talked to in a while or connect with someone new that they haven't actually got to know yet within the brotherhood. So this could be a lot of fun. I would recommend providing some topics for everyone to talk about, especially if you're calling someone you don't really know. It can be a little awkward. So being able to, just share topics such as, what are they doing this summer, TV shows, movies, just some random things to kind of help them get that conversation started. And then next we have the chapter playlist. So this one can be kind of cool for a chapter to do. It really gives you a chance to get to know your brothers as well as kind of the personality of your chapter. This can be done on all the major platforms such as Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. You're able to go on, create your list, and the nice part is you're able to share it. So everyone in your chapter can listen to it, and you're welcome to share it with anyone outside of your chapter. We love to hear what other chapters are doing, so you're more than welcome to share it with us as well. And finally, we have virtual volunteering. So this is a little bit different, but it's a great way for your chapter to kind of mix things up and also help out someone in the community. So a couple examples, the Moo chapter was able to raise $1,500 for the North Texas Food Bank. Within a week, they just through social media and friends and family, they were all able to raise the $1,500 to help the food bank, which was awesome. And who knows, that might eventually grow into a partnership they have in the future. The Moo Pie chapter was able to raise over $6,500 for the Step It Up challenge that they did a few months back to help with suicide prevention. I was able to take part in it. It was a ton of fun to get a team together and try to compete with getting the most steps against competing against other teams. And finally, the Omega Alpha chapter was able to raise over $35,000 for a dance-a-thon to help with childhood cancer, which was an awesome event. So with that said, you're able to have an impact on any scale. Really the biggest thing is either working with an organization you're already working with, or just ask some local charities on what you can do to help. There's usually plenty of opportunities out there. So just keep that in mind. Also, you can do something as simple as writing cards for residents and staff at nursing homes. Right now, they aren't always able to see their families. So it just would help them brighten their day a little bit. Next, I wanted to just touch on some Zoom alternatives. So I'm sure many of us are getting tired of Zoom as we're on a Zoom call right now. So these are just some different things you can consider for your next call or your next activity you do. So the first is the Facebook Messenger rooms. These are fairly new. The cool part is from Facebook or the Messenger app, you are able to create your Facebook room. They're really not too bad, pretty easy to use. And it's one of those things that, within the app, it's pretty easy to figure out how to get it going. But yeah, the nice part is they are free. There's no time limit, and up to 50 people can be on it. The biggest thing to keep in mind, though, is you have to have a Facebook account. So while not everyone does have one, just make sure that is something you keep in mind if you are going to be planning that. And then we have Google Meet. So very similar to Facebook, you're able to set up the meeting. Right now there is no time limit and up to 100 people can be on, but on September 30th that will switch to 60 minutes. That said, there's still plenty of time to hang out and do some type of activity. Just like Facebook, a Google account is required. So just something to keep in mind. That said, it is fairly easy to sign up for an account, but just keep that in mind as you plan that event. So with that, I just had a couple quick closing thoughts. So while we shared quite a few ideas tonight, I do challenge each of you to pick at least one idea and try to implement it this summer. Helping keep your chapter members engaged now will make it a lot easier in the fall. And remember, it doesn't have to be a large scale event. Any event, small or large, is really the best way to just keep that brotherhood, keep moving forward. And sometimes it just takes one event to get the ball rolling. So with that, I wanted to open it up for any questions, or if anyone has any thoughts or ideas they'd like to share with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. So as mentioned at the beginning, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll relay them to Heather. Or if you want to ask your question verbally, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question that way. So kick it off first question, Heather. So obviously being virtual provides some different challenges than when you're in person. What are some things that people will need to think about when they're trying to plan a virtual engagement?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just really always keeping in mind how are people going to join the event, trying to foresee any technical difficulties people might have, and really always just, continuing to remind people about how to join the event is really the biggest thing. And having either a phone number, an email address, something they can contact you with if they're having any trouble. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other one too is, if there's any restrictions around the type of event you're trying to plan, just trying to foresee any issues that may come up will also be helpful.
Next question we have are, what are some tactics to motivate brothers to want to join the events?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. I would say some good tactics would be, depending on, I guess, what the event is around, especially if it's, trying to be more, educational or things like that, or trying to get, just like a networking type thing, like just something where people are interacting, things like that. Really just trying to share the value of why they should come. You might be having this event, but being able to also share, what they're going to get out of it can sometimes be what's missing with some of those events. So really just keeping that in mind, and that can be just, simple things, such as, and it could get to the point where, you could even have, prizes or things like that, something that helps, kind of get them motivated, especially kind of the first time around. That's usually the toughest. Having some type of reward system sometimes can help generate that. In time, if you continue to do events, people continue to want to come, and that desire is there. Obviously, that's really not required. But I'd say really getting that first event going is probably the toughest. And once you get over that hurdle, it gets a lot easier.
All right, so all of our chapters do a lot of events during the school year. What's kind of the value and benefit and importance even for why you should want to engage with their members during the summer?
Yeah, and it's something that honestly, I don't know that we've really done a great job of in the past. The summer, everyone kind of goes off and does their own thing. And then, it's really not until the fall that everyone meets back up and you figure out what everyone did over the summer. Honestly, staying engaged over the summer, you're able just to keep up with everyone. And the nice thing too is it's just being able to provide that network, not so much in a professional development kind of way, but just more of a support type of way. Especially if something happens over the summer, and someone's going through a rough time, having that, that connection over the summer gives them to someone to turn to. If that makes sense. It's just one of those things that it's more than just, your chapter is there for you, your brothers are there for you more than just the school year. It's a lifetime thing. So it's one of those that even over the summer that shouldn't change. So just keeping everyone engaged can kind of help keep that going. And that can even help them once they graduate, just keeping everyone together.
You did name quite a few different activities. If people are interested in getting more information about any of those specifically, where should they go for more information?
Yeah, honestly, the community is a great place to start. All these ideas have been shared in the community. So if you go in there, and Mackenzie, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong since it's just changed, but I believe it's then, is it My Collaboration or?
I believe so, yeah, the collaboration group.
Yes. And then under students and volunteers, there's a whole, all of these have been dropped in there, and all the handouts as well are included in there. So it's a great way to go in, see what's been posted. And it's also a chance for you to engage with other brothers as well, ask what they're doing, see what's worked, what hasn't worked. It's a great place just to continue to have that conversation, even after this webinar and things like that.
All right, so I'm not seeing any other questions. So we'll give another minute or so to see if anybody has any last minute questions they want to ask. But Heather, what are your kind of final thoughts that you want to share about communication and engaging other members during the summer?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things I hope that everyone starts to consider to try to do. As I mentioned, even small things. It doesn't have to be, a large scale effort. It can just be something as simple as just trying to get a small group together to have a game night, do a workout, something that's just small, easy to do, doesn't take a lot of planning. And honestly, start small. Start with a group of 5 to 10 people. People are going to talk and it's going to grow. So it's one of those things, you just got to start somewhere, and from there, just kind of let it take off. That's definitely probably my best advice, just as far as how to keep everyone engaged over the summer. It's really just going to take a little bit of effort to get it going. But then, by the fall, especially if you keep it going over the summer, by the fall, you guys will roll right into it and keep on going. You don't really have that awkward start to the fall, I guess. And it just makes things a little bit easier.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Heather. If we can give one last thank you to Heather for her time and everything that she shared today, as well as a thank you to everyone that's joined in the call and asked their questions today. So one last reminder to log into the MyAKSI community where you can engage with other members in the collaboration groups and register for more upcoming events in the events tab. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you in the MyAKSI community.
Thank you.